Okay, so a new record of Ragnarok chapter literally just dropped. And I didn't do spoilers this month, so I decided, why not do an actual chapter breakdown this time instead of just doing spoilers? Because I'll be completely honest, spoilers came out pretty early in the morning, so I couldn't really get to it. But in this video, as you can tell by the title, we are going to be talking about chapter 57 of Record of Ragnarok, and we're going to be breaking it down and reviewing over the chapter. And of course, before we get into the video, make sure you leave it a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, because I post quite a bit of Record of Ragnarok content here and there. So if you like that stuff, then this channel is definitely for you. But apart from that, let's just get into the video, because this chapter was actually pretty good. Now, this chapter pretty much starts off with a flashback, well, more specifically King Shi Huang's flashback, and essentially there is this, I guess, this demon god in China that pretty much rules over everything, and it goes by the name Chi Yu. And of course, Chi Yu pretty much ruled over all of the states and kind of had the kings, like the kings of each state, under his wing, or basically under his control. And we see that Qin Shi Huang one day went up to the summit of the mountain, and he saw the demon god Chi Yu. And obviously Chi Yu asked for a sacrifice, but instead of actually giving real humans or real men of his states, Qin Shi Huang actually gave this demon god like kind of fake clay people. And of course Chi Yu did not really appreciate that, because he wanted real human flesh. But then Qin Shi Huang actually challenged Chi Yu to a fight to completely rule over all of China. And we see that obviously Chi Yu is pretty, like, he thinks King Shi Huang is crazy, but of course Qin obviously believes that he can win against this demon god. Now we then see that King Shi Huang proceeds to say that he would rather choose death and kneel before someone as hideous as Chi Yu. And then this fight is pretty much started, and we see that this fight goes on for a whole 6 days. And we see that at the end of these 6 days, Qin Shi Huang actually comes out as the victor of the fight, which, to be honest, kind of just goes to show how strong Qin Shi Huang is. Because if 6 kings or 7 kings can't go up against this one demon god with all of their armies, then Qin Shi Huang is pretty much stronger than multiple armies all at once, which is already pretty impressive. And then we go on to we go back out of the flashback and we go back to the fight, and we see that Hades is sent back completely, and he's smashed into a wall. And we see that obviously Go is pretty surprised, because she knows that Hades is pretty strong, so seeing Hades being sent back like that is very, very unusual. But then we go back to, I guess, an explanation as to what exactly King Shi Huang actually did. And we see that it's kind of an ultimate martial art and is derived from 5 different fighting styles. And he named these fighting styles Chi Yu. And we see that obviously Ares is pretty traumatized by this, because Ares realizes this move, and it's kind of what, King Shi Huang did to Ares back a couple of chapters ago. But then we go back to, I guess, Hermes, and Hermes is explaining that King Shi Huang essentially deflected the energy of Hades' attack and then immediately sent it back to himself. So it's kind of basically just, I guess, converting the energy and the attack of your opponent back at them, pretty much with the exact same strength. So this is kind of essentially showing how strong Hades is as well, because if Hades is that strong that he can send someone flying into the wall with so much ease, then that just goes to show that Hades is a pretty formidable opponent. So then we move back to Hades, and we see that Hades is kind of just on the floor, and obviously he's in pretty bad condition, since he did kind of receive his own attack. And then we see that Hades is asking King Shi Huang what makes a king in his own eyes. And then we see that King Shi Huang responds with, one who never doubts, one who never yields, and one who never relies. And essentially Hades is laughing, and we know that Hades is laughing because he thinks that King Shi Huang reminds him of his younger brother Poseidon. But then we move on, and we see that obviously, since King Shi Huang has just kind of brought up a pretty sensitive topic for Hades, Hades begins to get pretty determined to avenge Poseidon once again. And we see that Hades straight up goes at King Shi Huang with an attack, and we see that this attack is a lot stronger than the one he did before. and it's actually called Smasher of Earth. Tell me if I say this wrong, but Persephone Titan. And we see that this attack is obviously, Qin Shi Huang is trying to deflect it with Heavenly Hand of Defense. And then we see that obviously Hades, this attack from Hades is a little bit different, because Hades is actually not, attacking the way he did before, because he is combining the force of swinging it down and drawing it back. So this is essentially too much for, Qin Shi Huang to deflect. And we see that Hades is then, doing a little speech to himself and saying, "I am the king of the netherworld." And he begins to just shout his name, Hades. And then we see that, this attack from Hades actually goes through and smashes Qin Shi Huang to the floor, which again is pretty darn impressive, because we see that Qin Shi Huang in his own right is pretty strong. So the fact that Hades can do this is, again, a very impressive feat. But then we see that Qin Shi Huang actually isn't done. Qin Shi Huang actually does stand back up, and despite actually coughing up blood and seeming that he's in pretty bad condition, he's still able to fight. And he says it's sticky, soaked with blood, and he says this word, "boo how," and I'm pretty sure he says this earlier on in the chapter back in the flashback, but I've kind of forgot what this means. But he's repeating it quite a few times, so it must mean something kind of significant. But then we see that, Hades is saying still willing to fight, king of men. And obviously, Qin Shi Huang proceeds to take off his blindfold. And I know a lot of people have kind of been wanting to see what Qin Shi Huang looks like underneath this. And to be honest, once it's actually revealed in this chapter, we see that Qin Shi Huang doesn't have any, Sharingans or anything on his eyes. His eyes look pretty normal, to be honest. And I didn't know what I was really expecting from Qin Shi Huang. I was expecting him to have like some crazy eye ability maybe. That's kind of what I expected from Hades as well, but it kind of turned out that, that both of them just kind of had it on for aesthetic effect. But anyway, this chapter was definitely really good. I definitely did enjoy it. It did show some feats from Hades and Qin Shi Huang. It brought us back to a pretty good flashback with Qin Shi Huang. So this chapter was definitely pretty good, and I might even make a follow-up video to this about this chapter. But apart from that, this chapter is like a solid 7.5 out of 10, maybe 8 out of 10. But yeah, apart from that, that's pretty much it for this video. If you liked the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And apart from that, I will see you in my next video.